Hello, my Teaser King family. How is everybody today? Happy Chinese New Year. I think they celebrate it like for a week or something. Anyway, let's see what it's doing to our gold and silver now that, is everybody buying? So we've got 49.80 gold. It didn't do well. It did okay for Europe, and then the 10 o'clock drop, and now it's working its way back to 5,000. It's not really doing too much. Got up to 50.30 the other day and back down to 49.80. Silver 76.31. It's kind of stable now where it's not getting crushed. It looks like it's President's Day today also, and they're not doing the stock market's closed. Bitcoin 67,000. So China really didn't do too bad. I think it's Asia. So I think it's Japan and Korea also. Maybe the Bank of China. So I'm not sure it's Asia's just China. Now we know we had that guy who did that $3 billion short on silver. So we're not sure how that affected everything. If that was China, and then it's out of China's hands. So I don't know if we'll see more of that. I think what happens is these option players, to make money in an option, you got to know it. If you're going to short it, you got to know it's going down. So when it went so high up to 120, he saw an opportunity to short it. And even if it went back to 90, he was going to make a lot of money. So I think when it goes very high, you're going to get this drop. And I think that's kind of what happened there. So anyway, once we get rid of COMEX and we get rid of paper and we start playing the game with, physical, you'll never see this crap happen again. So anyway, that's where we're at. We're not really worried about it. Again, it's pretty much meaningless. Silver is extremely limited and very high demand. So as long as the demand's high, which it is, and the supply, you're not going to find any, the physical price is much higher. So how do we kill COMEX? We don't know. We just know we kill it, but we don't know how we kill it, right? So I think once there's no physical left, they can't do an option if there's no physical, because you can either do paper or physical. And if there's no physical to take, I don't know if they can keep doing the options. I know China, Shanghai Gold Exchange, and Singapore, Hong Kong, Russia, Dubai, all these are physical. You need the bar to sell it. And then we'll get to an actual market like I've been talking about, where if I want to sell this, you go to the grocery store and you sell it, and then somebody buys it from the grocery store. That's how you get a real market for this, not this paper bullshit. It's totally illegal because we live in the US where it's about free markets, not monopolies, and not this bullshit Madoff stuff. So just understand it's Madoff. This is not a stock. You don't want to buy gold as a stock. You're buying gold as money. It's insurance. It gets you out of the dollar. And that's the whole key to it. So that brings me into two things. Or my title: problem solving and investing. Once you solve the problem, then you know how to invest or play poker or bet football or women. So you're solving the problem. And if we look at women, they're very emotional and you really don't want to argue with them. I see the argument. I was with Alyssa and her friend was yelling at her, and I'm just shaking my head going, what's the point? I said, just hang up on the guy. What's the point of arguing? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It doesn't get you anywhere. So the whole thing of an argument's ridiculous. So if you're stoic and you have some friends or girlfriends, rule number one is, why are you arguing? Just talk it out. What's wrong? Oh, I need this and that. Okay, fine. Like Daria's scared to go to the dentist. So you don't argue about it. You don't say, oh, I can't believe you're scared to go to the dentist or this. You say, I'll go with you and I'll hold your hand and everything will be okay. I get my dentist done and you'll be fine. Most people just need mouthwash. You don't even need the dentist. I get that Crest big mouthwash, 50 ounces, and you pour it into the cup. It's blue, and you swirl it around. You don't swallow it, and then you spit it out. I haven't had cavities in years because I use that. Anyway, so that's like your first thing with people. There's no point in arguing. It doesn't do any good. You stay calm. You don't need a high blood pressure. So you solve the problem by understanding what the problem is. Why are you yelling? Now, she wasn't yelling at me, but and I'm trying to teach her stoic to say, just don't argue. Her mom went to get the kids and they weren't there. They were out with somebody else. And the mother starts yelling at her about, why aren't the kids there? I told you I was coming, X and Y. Well, regardless if you were or not, you move on. Oh, look, okay. Oh, I didn't know you were coming then, or I forgot. I'll call the other person and they'll bring the kids, or you can go get the kids now. And the mother's like screaming at her. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is she screaming? Well, they're supposed to be. So the mother's frustrated because she told Alyssa 12:30 and the kids weren't there. So she's frustrated. Oh, I want the kids there. Instead of realizing, oh, they're not here. Okay. How do we solve that problem? Oh, the kids are over there. I can go get them. Okay. And go get them. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. You just, like tomorrow, my swim is 3:00 and then they're having swim meet. And then they have this big swim meet all weekend. Well, I can't argue. I can just deal with the problem. Okay, I got to get there at 1:30 tomorrow, and then on Friday and Saturday and Sunday I can't use the pool. So I did make a comment. It's not, I don't like that I can't use the pool Saturday and Sunday, but I can't really problem solve it. My only problem solve would be go to somewhere else that I can be a guest for 2 days and use their pool for 2 days and not, not, and I just won't be able to swim there. It's the lap pool. So I do a lot of running. It's 5 feet of water. And then the regular pool is like 3 feet. So it hurts my back. So I didn't problem solve that. We problem solve football and we problem solve poker. Poker's the hardest. The poker is, what do I do? How do I play this? So the biggest thing in poker is overvaluing your hand, undervaluing the other person. I thought my jacks were good. I'm trying to read them. He checked. Um, oh, usually it's overbetting the ace king. Uh, I see why people, when you're in a tournament and you're near the end and you're getting blinded out and you get ace king, I can see why you go in then. And that's the only time I would go all in. But, it's good if you hit them, you think. Somebody might have a pair of sevens and get a seven on the flop with an ace, and you go, "Oh, I'm ahead." You're not ahead, so you're overvaluing your hand. And then you got to problem solve. If you're really having a big question, should I do it? Okay, the guy's bluffing the river. I got a pair of kings. What do I do? Well, you problem solve it. Does it make sense if he didn't bet before that he bets the river big? Knowing this, the only way he can win is if he makes a big bet. He didn't bet the flop and he didn't bet the turn, and he's making a big bet on the river. Now, again, if he's coming out with it, it's probably a bluff. If he's checking and you're betting and he's check raising you, it's for sure a bluff. So again, it depends what's going on. If he's got a normal hand, he's just going to check it down and hope he wins with a pair of tens. So you're problem solving everything. You're looking at everything. And you're really must understand the problem. You're overweight. How do you solve it? Eat better, fast, no sugar. Eat pita bread instead of Wonder Bread. Have a lot of fruit and veggies. Have a lot of meat. Only eat twice a day. Fast. That's how you solve the problem of being overweight. That's how you solve the problem of diabetes, heart problems, cleans the strokes, cleans your liver, cleans your kidney. If you don't put bad food in, you don't have to problem solve. That's the problem. That's how you problem solve, is what you put into yourself. Now, there was our doctor, our bald guy, Steph Enberg. He gave the top 10 worst foods that age you. Right? So he's saying if you eat these, it really kills you, it hurts your cells, and you age faster. Because you don't have to age. Well, you age because you damage your cells. So if you didn't damage your cells, you wouldn't age as fast. You would age very slowly. That's why I look much younger than I am. I've never smoked and I'm not a drinker. Well, the number one thing that ages you is alcohol. Number two is sugar drinks, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Number three, fruit juices. You think an orange juice, oh, it's healthy, it's orange. No, it's not. It's all sugar. So you're being misled thinking I'll have apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice. No, it's all sugar. So you got a lot of sugar in juices. You got a lot of sugar in regular pop and alcohol. A lot of sugar in that. Smoking, that's going to age you very big. Margarine, you don't want to have margarine. You want to have butter, because they put trans fat in. A lot of it is trans fat. So avoid margarine at all costs. Just have regular butter. Have as much olive oil as you can. Another one's olive oil is good, and the vegetable oils and canola oils are very bad. Another one is what was another one? Breakfast cereals. You don't want to eat them. They're terrible for you. Plain yogurt you can eat, but not regular, not with all the sugar. You're trying to avoid the sugars and avoid the fatty oils like canola oil or vegetable oil. You're trying to avoid fried foods, which are mostly what you're going to get at a restaurant if you order fried chicken or French fries or onion rings. You really want to avoid that at all cost, because you're cooking in bad oil. You want to have olive oil. So basically you're going to do it at home. You'll put olive oil. That's what I do. This is olive oil. I put olive oil in the pan, I heat it up, I put this. So this, instead of toasting a bagel or toast, I basically fry a pita bread. And since it's pita bread, it's not as bad as Wonder Bread or that. And because I'm using olive oil, not canola oil, it's very healthy. The other thing is baked goods. Baked goods gives you that. Not only are they using vegetable oil to cook it, it's a lot of sugar. So avoid cupcakes, cookies, chocolate cakes, icings, all that. So it's basically sugar and oils that are bad for you. When it gets down to it, anything with sugar, cupcakes, pop, juice, alcohol, avoid. So basically, sugar's aging you. The vegetable oils are aging you. So get away from margarine and get away from, you know, anything that's not olive oil. That's why I always get a lot of olive oil. The other thing was like in the deli section, the salami and the turkey and that's kind of salty and that's not great for you. You're better off just going in the regular section and getting the chicken and cooking it yourself. That's what I do. Or the hamburgers. There's nothing wrong with red meat. He didn't say that. Steaks, ribs, chicken, salmon's very good for you. Avoid a lot of the canned goods because the other thing was the high fructose corn syrup, which is sugar. So avoid that. That's why I get the Ken's dressing. It doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it. It does have some sugars in it. And you don't want to get the low fat or the non-sugar because the chemicals will kill you. So they're trying to murder us pretty good with all the issues. But that's what you got to be careful of. So those are the things that age you. And again, number one was alcohol, and number two was regular sugary Coke, and then number three was the juices and the baked goods. So pretty much eat it in very moderation. I wouldn't drink a lot of Coke. I don't. I have like decaf coffee and green tea and water a lot. Mostly a lot of water with my ginger, my cinnamon. That's cinnamon in there. Squeeze a lemon, and it's a lot of it is you problem solving your brain into it's healthy for me. Like I eat a lot of dark chocolate, which is okay. Not M&Ms and not Kit Kats, but dark chocolate, 80, 90. And that's okay. The cocoa is very healthy for you. So Alyssa says, "Oh, it doesn't taste good. I don't like it." And I'm like, "Well, it's like it's healthy." I'm eating an avocado. Now, avocado I do like, but I eat avocado every day. And it's not like eating grapes or something sweet or watermelon, but it's very, very healthy for you. It's good for inflammation and it's a good healer. Plus, it's very healthy. You don't get a lot of stuff. I can't think of the thing that it gives you, but it gives you some stuff that you don't get. Magnesium, I believe, which is very critical, but we don't get it because these idiots, all the food manufacturers are doing all they can to make sure the food is as cheap as possible to keep the price down. So they will keep it. So they'll substitute a lot of, that's why they put in high fructose corn syrup, even in like a can of beets. High fructose corn syrup. Why? Well, it preserves on the shelf longer. So they can leave it out there because it's going to take a while to sell, but this way it'll be there. Fuck off. Always tell them to fuck off. Silver 76, gold 49.76, but I'm not worried about gold. All right. So the problem is you're overweight, you solve it by that. The problem is you looking old, you solve it by eating healthy. If you eat healthy like I do, this is my normal eating habits. I don't have to change to these eating habits. I'm already at these. My blood pressure was 180, it's 120 now. It's very good. So if I eat like this, I don't have blood pressure problems because I'm not putting in things that cause high blood pressure. Stay away from smoking and drinking because they're very unhealthy for you. So it's a question of why do you do that? Is it because you like it or is it because of the health? And so to me, it's, it's a health issue. I got a friend who's the same age as me and he smokes. Guy looks like a shrunken head. I mean, he looks like Leatherhead. He looks terrible. And he's really hard to look at. He's so leathery and everything. And that was 5 years ago. I can't imagine what he looks like now. But cigarettes are poison, and you're inhaling poison. It kills yourself. That's why people die of cancer because it's poison. So a lot of the problems are you cause yourself because you don't know. So you start by eating properly avoids all the sickness, right? My dad died of diabetes. I don't know what he ate or drank. He wasn't a big drinker and he wasn't a smoker. Um, but had I known now what I know then, I would have told him to fast and stop eating toast. Like he'd eat toast for lunch, thinking he was eating healthy, and he was really eating unhealthy. There's a lot of carbs and sugar. He'd have been better off having having a hamburger without the bun or having chicken. So he died of diabetes, as did his father. And again, well, that was 30 years before, but so my dad died in 97. Well, had I known now, he wouldn't have died in 1997 because I would have taken him off sugar and had him fast and done what I did. And now I'm not on diabetes because of the fast. But I went to a doctor and, oh, there's no cure. Then that's how I found our doctor. And then I went on, how do you cure diabetes? Oh, yeah, that's all it is. Just stop eating sugar fast, stop with the carbs, eat protein, eat fats, and you're fine. And my weight went down and my blood pressure went down. And here I am 4 years later, and my blood pressure is 120, maybe 125. So that's how you problem solve. You identify the problem and then you solve it. And so if I just eat healthy and eat avocados and pita bread and chicken and salads, I'm going to be healthy. I also go to the pool every day. You want to keep your blood flowing and you keep healthy and you keep in shape. And so by doing that, I keep everything healthy, right? So by doing that, by staying in shape, I don't have to get big and fat and then have to work it off. I saw some lady in the pool and I helped her. She's heavy and she was so excited to see me. She says, "Oh, thank you." I told her about fasting and what to eat. And she said, "I lost 55 pounds." Now, you wouldn't have known it. She was still big, but she must have been really big. So anyway, she was excited. She lost 55 pounds. She'll keep going. Other people don't listen to me. They're heavy. They got diabetes. I said, "I can help you." And who are you? And they don't listen because they don't want to listen. I remember a friend of my mom's when I was younger said, "Oh, you don't want to have sugar and stay away from sweet and low. The chemicals are bad for you." And I kind of ignored her. Like, well, you're not a doctor, or I don't have a lot of sweet and low. So I really wasn't interested. And yet she was right. And I didn't listen to her. Now, but again, I don't really, I probably had sweet and low, or you're drinking diet pop thinking it, but pop's terrible for you. See, now they're hitting me with calls that are not spam, but we know they're spam. Anyway, so the question is, what's the problem? All right, so let's talk. We'll talk investment. Then we'll get to poker and football, the fun stuff. Why do you invest? Because you want to make money with you. You want to put your money to work. Okay. I mean, when you really look at it simplistically, if I don't put my money to work, my money goes to zero. Right? So I really only have one option. I either get my paycheck and take my money, and what do I do with it? Put it in the mattress, put it in the bank. So these are my alternatives. It's either just take the money and say thank you and go spend it all. A lot of people do that. A lot of poor people, and they stay poor because they don't understand it. So they'll get paid and they'll go buy this, that, and the other. Or they'll buy drinks or smokes or drugs with it. Or you can invest it because you want the money to grow. And so let's look at the investment types. And that's pretty much what we talk about a lot. Well, we can put the money in the stock market, but I really don't know what I'm doing in the stock market because it's very tricky. But if I put my money in the stock market, it'll go up. Not that it could ever go down. I mean, come on. So you're problem solving. Well, how do I pick what company to pick? What do I look at? Are you going to look at the income statement and the cash flow from operations? Do you even know what they are or how to read them? Is the company profitable? At what point do I buy? What point do I sell? Again, an investment means you're hoping that whatever you buy, the value goes up. And then you have to understand is when do I get out? When do I actually take my profit? This is what nobody understands. They will buy Apple or they'll buy Bitcoin. Because it goes up, they buy it. Why are you in Bitcoin? Because it's going to go up. So I'm going to make money. What if it goes down? Aha. They're not trained to think like that. They're not trained to think it could go down. We are. We look at everything. We look at a football game. Should we take the favorite of the dog? We play poker. Is this the best hand? Maybe not. We got to be careful. How is he betting and everything? So when you're looking at an investment, your first thing is stocks. How do you know which one to choose? Oh, well, Kramer told me take this one, or I was watching CNBC and they recommended this, or it's all bullshit. And you got to know what the economy is. You got to know if the money's any good. So you have to problem solve. Where do I put my money? We've got it to the point where we realize the money's not worth anything. And therefore, the money's gone. And therefore, you have to leave money and buy gold and silver. That's how in depth we got. We drove down 5 layers. So the first layer is, well, I got the money, I'm going to buy stocks. I'm totally unaware of the stock market about to crash and that the money's worthless. So I buy stock and then I hope mine goes up. And I hope I don't lose on I don't even think about that. I just think I'll buy it and it'll go up because of, the divine being is going to make the stocks go up. So you have that where that's an investment. You can buy a bond, which is an IOU, but again, the money isn't worth anything. You can buy a real estate trust, which are people's mortgages or commercial real estate, or Caesar's Palace has real estate trust. And you can buy those where you can, you think you're taking no risk. Oh, well, everybody's going to pay their mortgage. And that's why what happened in 2008, you're giving mortgages to people that can't pay them back, and so they're going to bust. And then you're dealing with criminals who work at these investment houses who will just delist it because we have to survive. Margin Call, and our favorite Attack on Wall Street. Those were where we're not going to get hit. We'll delist them, and everybody in them will go to zero, and we'll get out of it. So there's a lot of risk and a lot of investments. There's FX. You want to buy yuan and yen. I mean, fuck that. That's all bullshit. There's nothing real in those. I can gamble. I can go play blackjack. I can go play craps. I can go play poker. And I'm really good at poker. And therefore I can make money at it. Well, that's bullshit. Maybe you're lucky if you make money at it. It's a lot. You've got to be able to get good cards. You've got to be able to get suckers that you're playing with that don't know what they're doing. You start playing with the professionals, they'll eat you alive. But you won't even know. You don't know I'm a professional. I'm going to sit at the table with you and I'm going to shut up. You don't know who you're playing with. That happened to me once. I'm playing MGM. The guy sitting next to me knew who I was. And so two new people sit at the table and he's just like, oh, you're playing against this guy. He's the best guy in the room. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Let's not advertise that, Charlie. I felt good that he realized I was the best player in the room, which I don't know if I am, but I am a good player. So that's a way to make money. Betting on sports is a way to make money. If you find somebody like me, you'll make money. And, I tell you and explain what I have to dig in, how many layers I have to go to figure out the winners. But most people can't pick football. But they're all driven to make money with their money. That's the drive. The investment is, all right, I've got 10 grand here and you don't even know what you want to do. Well, I want to turn it into 100 grand. Well, that's bullshit. Just try to make it go into 20 grand. In football, what's your bankroll? That's the first thing I ask you, 5,000. Okay. You're just trying to turn it into 7,500 and then 10 grand. If you think you're going to make 100 grand, you're out of your mind. Now, Titus did. He only had to go 10 for 10 on my picks to make 18,000. A miracle that we hit all 10 and a miracle that he bet enough to win 18 grand. But then what does he do, right? So there's ways to make money. You can make money playing poker. You can lose money. So you have to understand that the characteristics. Investing is not that easy. And that's why you go to less. Well, I'll put my money in the bank in a mutual fund or in a money market. I'll make 3%. I don't want to lose. I want no risk in the portfolio, like the guy said in the James Bond movie. And everybody misses the easiest job in the world. This is the easiest job in the world. We buy this at $20 an ounce. It's now $76. All I had to do was have money and buy it. And I had to know to buy physical, same with gold. So I took all my money that I had made and I bought physical. And now I just sit back and watch the prices go up because I understand bricks. I understand supply demand, which is a simple, if a lot of people want something and there isn't a lot of it, the price will go up because they can charge more. There's people that want it. And that's the key. So why is it the easiest job in the world? Because you don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is wake up. I wake up. Oh, silver's up. Gold's up. It's jumped from 1,800 to 5,000. Oh, okay. Great. Gold's going to 8,000. Gold's going to 10,000. So I'm making money. That's my job. I'm making money. And the other thing is, so I made money. Now here's what's going to happen. The poor people, they need to spend better. And even if they have to buy an ounce or two of silver, they will make a lot of money on it. They have to, substitute. Well, I'm not going to buy beer. I'll buy silver. I'm not going to buy cigarettes. I'm going to buy silver. And that's what they got to realize. With the rich people, they're in the stock market or they're in the bank, or Warren Buffett he's got $10 billion sitting there. They're all going to go broke because they don't understand concept number one, which is the money worth anything? And it isn't. So when you invest, step one is realizing, well, okay, let's problem solve. What's the problem? We have to realize that the money's not worth anything. How do we realize that? Well, we have to take an economics class in Austrian economics, or listen to me, an Austrian economist. And what we tell you is, if the money's not backed by anything, it has no value. So you have to trade it. That's the problem. You have to trade. You have to realize the money is worthless. And how do you do that? Well, if you keep printing it, it has no value. That's what you have to realize. Okay, if I keep printing it, it has no value. So that's the first thing. So that's step one. Is our money worth anything? Because that's going to tell me where I can invest or where I should invest. It's going to guide me. So the reason it's not worth anything, it's not backed by anything. And these people keep printing it. And then you listen to MMT people who say, well, we're okay. We can just keep printing it. We can print it to death. We can print and print and print. And as long as we can print more, it doesn't matter. These are morons. The MMT people are morons. Jim Rickards and all these guys. I was listening to MMT this morning. I'm not going to waste your time playing it, but they think they can, because of the reserve currency, they're able to just keep printing it and the debt doesn't matter. These are idiots. What do you mean the debt doesn't matter? So if I owe a credit card of $10,000, does it not matter? Sure does matter to the bank. Who do you think's buying the debt? Japan and China and Russia and Germany and Italy and pension funds and life insurance companies. They're the ones buying the dollars. Only the dollar isn't worth anything. This is the problem with MMT. They don't understand, if you keep printing it, the dollar has no value when it's not backed. You can't just keep printing it. I don't know why they think this. It's absolutely the dumbest. These are the dumbest people in the history of life. Well, we're the reserve currency. We can keep printing it. No, you can't. You can't do that because that makes the value worth zero. So, A, is the dollar backed by anything? No. Therefore, it has no value. Therefore, they can print all they want. They're printing something that has no value. It's like printing Kleenex. It still doesn't have value. So all this monopoly money has no value. And they can keep printing it, and they can keep printing it. Doesn't mean it has value. It means that, yeah, they can keep printing it, but it has no value. So you have to get out of the dollar is the first problem to solve. So you're solving is the dollar worth anything? What's it backed by? If it's backed by gold and silver, it's worth the gold and silver. If it's not backed by anything, it's not worth anything. Even though it's got 100 on it or 500 on it or a 50 on it. You saw Zimbabwe, they made like a $1 billion dollar. How did that work out? They kept printing and, oh, yeah, they went bankrupt. So did Germany. They kept printing and they went bankrupt. Oh, wait, because we're the reserve currency, we can print and it won't matter. Oh, really? You're an idiot. That's not true. But they'll say it to try to, I don't know what they're thinking, but you can't. If there's, and I don't like this. It's too many dollars chasing too few goods. That's fantasy land. Milton Friedman is totally wrong on that. You're printing too much dollars. I mean, you're starting with a worthless dollar if it's not backed by anything. So saying you've printed too much dollars chasing too few goods is a fantasy. It's not, it's totally incorrect. It's the money's not backed by anything. So from the if you printed $5, it's not worth anything. So then you realize, what are my options to invest? Like I said, stocks, bonds, real estate trust, land. Uh, Buying a house is not an investment. Uh, and then you go into like Bitcoin or Bitcoin, as I say. So you get to the digitals, which are absolutely fantasies, or gold and silver. And so we go around and look and look. And who's this? So I want to make money with I want to invest. You have to understand what investing is and how to do it. If you want to play poker as a medium of money, you have to learn it. If you want to bet football, you have to learn. Now, those are both ways I invest and I make money in it, but I understand them. I've been playing poker since I was like 12 years old, and I've been betting football since 1969 when I was 10 years old. And I understand why I win and why I lose, and I get it down. And you hear my picks. I nailed the Super Bowl. You heard that. I gave you the score, and I nailed the score. And so it shows I know what I'm doing, which you have to if you're going to bet. Now, the biggest advantages of betting poker, playing poker and playing and betting football is there's no tax on it. You get it fine. You do have to pay tax if you hit a big slot machine or in the World Series of Poker. I'm sure if you make 100,000, they're giving you a 1099. I'm sure they're doing that. But if you just go and make $1,000 at MGM or Caesars, there's no tax. You just cash out and you're gone. But what you got to realize is the government keeps printing the money until it's worthless, right? So the government's printing money, it's worthless, the money. And so you don't want to invest something that's worthless. And we had the 1929 depression. We had 1987 when the market crashed. We had 2008 when the market crashed. A lot of people lost a lot of money because they didn't understand what they were investing in. So again, stocks, you got to be very careful because it's out of your control. Poker and football betting is more in your control. I can play poker. I control the cards. I control my bets. I bet football. I can control who I pick. And then judging by the way the games go, I can see if these games are going to be good or not. I get that. Playing stock market, you have no control. The only control you have is which company you choose. But that doesn't help you because let's say you want to buy a silver mine or Newmont Mining, a gold stock. It only goes up if people buy it. It's an auction. So you only make money on the supply and demand of people buying or selling Newmont Mining. Well, gold's going to go up. It was 5,500, went down to 5,000. Now we know it's going to go up, but that doesn't make the stock go up. And people will run to Apple and run to that, but those are way overvalued. The value of the best way is to look at the PE ratio, price to earnings. So the price of the stock is 500, but the earnings of the company is only 50. So your PE ratio is 100. That's not good. You want to be in PE ratios about 20. That means the price of the stock's pretty close to the earnings. And then you've got to hope that the company will continue their earnings. Are people going to buy Apple phones at 1,700 now, because everybody's going broke. Then it becomes the Apple TV or the Amazon TV. Really, are a lot of people going to buy that crap? I don't know. I'm not going to. I don't need it that much. Between doing this and going to the pool and playing golf when it's warm out, I'm out. I can watch YouTube and I can watch the Super Bowl now, or I can watch the 1981 Orange Bowl, which was my big bet, Florida State, Oklahoma. I can watch these games now on YouTube. Why do I need to pay to watch them on Amazon or Apple? That's just bullshit. These people, it's the same thing as smoking cigarettes, right? It's going to make you unhealthy. Why do you need to spend money on Apple or Amazon? You're better off to do this. Now, this is a little bit more. It's $76, but you're better off buying this. You can buy a half ounce for $38. They have half ounce. This is a 2-ouncer. They have 1-ouncers and they have half ouncers. Maple Leafs and Eagles and the US. So you can buy those instead of buying Apple and Amazon, which are a waste of time and money. You don't need to watch the football game live. It's boring enough. It's, we think it's scripted. We know the refs cheat and they're terrible. And, it's all these commercial breaks. Oh, we got to review it. We'll come back in 5 minutes after having 5 minutes of commercials to tell you something that, yeah, the guy was in bounds and he was clearly in bounds, but we'll come back in 5 minutes to tell you it was clearly in bounds. Or they get the calls wrong, like in the Denver game and in the Seattle game on these laterals that were forward that they said were backward because they were tipped, or the one was incomplete. And I'm pretty sure if we watch that Rams-Seattle game, and I'll slow it down, that the ref calls it incomplete. That stops the play right there. There is no recovery. He's called it incomplete. It's like when they blow the whistle and call the play dead, and the guy picks it up and runs for a touchdown. Well, now we blew the whistle. I'm going to watch that. I guarantee you, and I'll watch it later, that the refs call it incomplete, which stops the play. John C., I'm fine. How are you? So you have measures. So in the stock market, you have to look at all the stocks and then figure out which is going up, who's the earnings, is the product demanded, like AI. That's why everybody jumped on AI. Well, they don't realize AI is bullshit. It's a Ponzi scheme. It doesn't do anything. It's wrong most of the time, and nobody wants it. It's not a demanded item. So with that, but people are buying AI stocks. People were in Apple and Amazon, so just because people are in it doesn't make them wanting, doesn't mean the stock's going to go up. I'm fine, West. How are you? Chinese New Year. We gotta see what happens with gold and silver this week. So then, okay. So stocks, I'm not sure how to play. I got to read the company, read his financial statement. So I got to know that. And then I can't listen to a broker because he's going to push me where he wants. He doesn't care if he makes you money or not. He cares about the commission. Attack on Wall Street. Sold them the real estate trust for the commission. So again, now you're listening to somebody else and you don't know if he's any good or not. Right. Plus the stock market's going to crash because all the foreigners are going to pull their money out. There's $40 trillion in the stock market that is going to be pulled because they're going to realize the dollar is worthless. Again, it's the facade that the dollar is fine. It's not fine. It's not worth anything. But it hasn't been since 1971 when they took us off the gold standard and the money wasn't backed by anything. So that's why every currency in the world is worthless. But they don't want to tell you that. Oh, inflation's 2%. Well, that's bullshit. Inflation's thousands of a percent. You can't measure it by percent. They just keep printing and printing the money, making it worthless. Now, what these MMT people, they can keep printing. It's the reserve currency. No. So you got to understand that. So real estate trust, you got to be careful. Can people afford their mortgages? If they can't, they're going to delete it on you and you're going to lose all your money. And it's a soft one. It's, well, you can get 6% because you're just basically buying mortgages from the banks who issue the mortgages, and you're safe as long as people keep paying it. Well, good luck with that. Again, you're relying on other people. You don't want to rely on other people. You play poker, you're relying on yourself. You bet football, you're relying on yourself and the team you're betting on. But you got a track record for the team. Or Mahomes. Oh, yeah, we rely on Mahomes. We can bet on Mahomes. And that's my whole thesis when we talk football. Can you rely on Lamar? Never. Can you rely on Jalen Hurts? Never. Can you rely on CJ Stroud? No. Or Herbert? Yes, we can rely on Bo Nix when he's healthy. Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers to a point. Cleveland doesn't have a quarterback, but we're certainly not going to rely on Pratt Jr. And that's why you look at the quarterback. Can we bet on this and rely on this guy to win it for us? Because that's our only hope. We're not playing, but if we're going to bet it, we got to bet on the best quarterback or the killer defense. Yeah, Seattle's defense. Even though they have Darnold, who stinks, we got this great defense. And we got Kenneth Walker. We're going to bet on the defense, which is basically what we did. So there's different things you have to rely on. But when you're dealing with real estate trust, now I got to deal with people. Well, wait, we're in a big recession. People will get laid off and they're not going to be able to afford their mortgage. When the dollar goes out, we have to see what happens there. Then we turn to land. Okay, we'll buy land as an investment. Well, do you know how to grow the land and make it worth something? Land itself isn't worth shit. If you put a golf course on it or a mall on it or a store on it, the land's more profitable. Or if you buy the land next to Caesar's Palace. When I was a young kid, I thought of that. 1968, I'm going, well, here's Caesar's, and there's nothing next to it, just sand. And I said, shit, if you bought the land next to it, it'd probably be worth a lot. And I was dead right. That's at 9 years old. So again, location helps. Put it next to a place that's developed, and they're going to probably develop you. Or you're next to a subdivision, but they want to grow the subdivision, so they want your land for a house. Okay, that's part of it. So that's what you have going. But to just buy land is not worth anything, really. It's worth a little bit, but if you don't develop it, it's not worth anything. You buy a house, it's not an investment. You got to put money into it. You got to pay taxes, maintenance, any damage. So you have to insure it. So the costs aren't really, it's a house because you want to live in it. It's not a house as, oh, I'm going to make money and it's a good investment. That takes us to Bitcoin, which is digital, which we have no idea what it is. It's not even real. We can't see it or put it in our safe. We can't touch it. And how can it have a value? Well, it's worth 100,000. Why? Well, I don't know. Again, you're relying on Michael Saylor and Larry Fink to bid it up. They stopped. They pulled out to buy gold and silver. Now it's down to, I just looked, it was 67,000. How comfortable are you in Bitcoin? You don't even know what it is. Oh, it's limited. Now, 21 million is not limited. When I show you a Steve Eiserman 1-of-1 card, that's limited. 1-of-1 is limited. 21 million is not limited, and it's not money, and it's not traded. People can't go to the grocery store with it or to dinner with it or buy clothes with it. It's a few pizza places who want to get Bitcoin. I mean, that's basically it. So Bitcoin's not money. What is it? Maybe a collectible. I'd rather have a Rolex. I'd rather have a Mantle card, which takes us to baseball and sports. You can collect cards. And if you get if you know what you're doing there, I want Mickey Mantle and Tom Brady in Montana, as I tell you, a Walter Payton rookie card. That's another $100,000 card. That's what you want to get into, because then you have to understand supply and demand. Is there demand? Do people want it? If people don't want it, and you're screwed, right? Forget about it. If people don't want Bitcoin, it's worthless. If people don't want your stock, it's worthless. If people don't want, um, your real estate trust, if people aren't going to pay their mortgages, you're dead. However, if you get a Mano card, a Mano rookie, everybody wants it. There's demand for it, and there's very low supply. The Montana rookie, the Jerry Rice rookie, those Tom Brady cards I showed you, they're all worth a lot because they're very limited supply and very highly demanded. So do we have that in stocks? Well, that's what we're doing with stocks. Why you see Apple and Amazon go up, because the government's printing money, putting it in the market to make it look good. But is demand because they are choosing those stocks. The rest of the market's getting killed. People just don't have money. They're losing their jobs. The money's losing value. The costs are going up for people, and more people are going broke and going out. So if you hold their stock, now it's worth zero because the company's not growing. There's very few growing. AI, well, nobody even knows what it is, but people, it's the next hot thing, buy AI. It's not even a good tool. It's worthless. It's pulling data. Yeah, I can pull data. I can go on Google and do a search. I don't need AI for that. And what AI gives you is wrong most of the time anyway. It's not a direct answer to your question. It's just summarizing things that are irrelevant, basically. So we've looked at, what do we invest in? Why are we investing? Because we want to grow our money, because money is the important thing in our economy. We want to make money and grow it. So, we go to work to make money, but it's a lot more fun if we can invest it and make money doing that. So yes, you can play poker, you can bet football, you can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, you can buy real estate trust, you can buy land, or you can buy baseball cards. And then the caveat is buy gold and silver. This is the last thing. This is real money. This is real. We see what it looks like. This is extremely limited. There's huge demand for it. So we're checking all our boxes, but it is real money. And you can't print more of it. It comes out of the ground. It's the only way you get more. And there's not much in the ground. So that's the key. But because the bankers control Wall Street and the banks, we can keep our money in a money market at the bank, or an annuity at the life with insurance, and get a few percent, but we're still in money. So everything I've just talked to you about is all staying in the dollar. And when the dollar collapses, everything collapses. Also, you can invest in Rolexes, collectibles, right? Rolex, baseball cards, all the same. But the problem is you're all in this, and this has no value because it's not backed by anything. You can't just print paper and put a 10 on it and a 20 and put a president on it and think it's worth something. It's not how it works. It's got to be backed by gold to have a value. So that's the first Ponzi scheme they're giving you, is the money itself, the banks, Wall Street. So the government, which is run by the banks, want you in stocks or real estate trust. That's what they want. They want to get commission off of you. They want to use your money. That's why they're all rich. So they don't want you in gold and silver. So you're out of the system then. We are out of the system. We have the silver. We don't need it in a bank. We don't want it in a bank. And we certainly don't want it in a safety deposit box in a bank. So we have this. We know what it looks like. We know it's real. It says 999 fine silver, 2 ounces, pure 999. So we know this is real. We put a magnet to it. It doesn't stick. So We get it. This is the out of the paper system, which is a prison. I told you about my game, which is you're playing a game and it's like the Matrix, and you're stuck in the Matrix with the paper dollars, and there's no way to leave the system until you find me and I tell you the secret, which is buy gold and silver, will get you out of the Matrix. So once you find me and you're buying gold and silver, all of a sudden the door opens and you can leave because you're not part of the system anymore. You're free. And so to get freedom, you buy gold and silver because they can't inflate it. And if they can't inflate it, it's not going to lose its value. In fact, it's going to go up. And that's the key to it. Oh, yes, I can't take it to the grocery store. Yeah. Yeah. You've been taking this to the grocery store lately? I mean, I paid $4 for my cauliflower head. $4 for cauliflower. It should be like 39 cents. So yeah, keep taking your dollars to the grocery store, man. So that's really the key to it. So the investment is basically figuring out what's happening. You got to figure out the dollar's worthless, number one. You got to figure out that the stock market and the real estate trust and the banks and the Bitcoin are all Ponzi schemes. They're all fake. Slide the curtain back and see the wizard, and he's sweating. And so you want to get into the one thing that's real, which is gold and silver. Now you can bet football and you can bet poker and you'll make money at it. So let's say I go play poker and I make 20,000 of this crap. I didn't really make anything. I didn't really win anything because I'm still in dollars. Unless I took the dollar and bought silver and gold with it, I didn't do anything. So all these athletes and these poker players making money, and the World Series of Poker champion, he makes 8 million, 10 million, pays tax on it, so he gets 5 million. And then what does he do with the 5 million? Where does he invest it? Stock market, probably, if he even knows. I mean, and so you're paying all kinds of tax on it, and you're still in dollars. So even though you've made money, you're still in money. And that's the critical point. You've got to get out of the money into gold and silver. Until you do that, you're screwed. It's not worth anything. And I keep driving you to the grocery store going, look at the prices go up. That's the value of the dollar going down. So you're realizing the dollar's value is dropping, basically. So I can buy silver and gold, offsets that. And now I'm ahead of the game. You can buy Rolexes and Mantle cards and Montana cards, or Picassos and Van Goghs over here. My Van Gogh. You can buy that stuff. That's a way to make more money. But you want to buy what's called real assets. So real asset is the Mantle card or the Brady card or the Rolex. Those are real assets. So those will always have a value. You're going to switch it from dollars to gold and silver. That's where we're headed. That's where BRICS is. BRICS is gold and silver backed currency. And that's why the value of the gold and silver are going up, not because the money being inflated. Again, as I argue, there is no value of the dollar. Tell me what the dollar's worth. You can't. You have no idea. It's what it will buy, and it won't buy much. So that's the big thing. So we're waiting. That we know the dollar's worthless, but a lot of people don't, and they can still go to the grocery store and the restaurants, use it. I can travel on my credit cards and use it, but basically it's not worth anything. And if you go to Europe and try to use your credit card, you try to use your cash there, you're going to find that it's not worth anything. What costs you $20 here costs you $70 there because they don't want the dollar. Even cashing it on an ATM, I want euros. I'm going to go into my ATM and take euros. There's going to be, I was in Germany and I got 200 euros, cost me $260. It should have been $220. because they charged me because I was using American dollars. It was like a $40 charge on the transaction because it was dollars. And when you go to Europe, and I would assume this is Asia too, it's the same thing. Your value of your dollar is worthless. It takes more of them to buy things in Hong Kong or Germany or France. Instead of costing you $20 here, it costs you $70 there. Then you start realizing, the value of the dollar is the, but I'm telling it for you to understand now. That's the only way to measure it, because they don't say the dollar's worth X or Y. They do not say the dollar's worth, 82 cents. The dollar's worth zero. That's why I don't understand. Aleister McLeod just doesn't get it. And, it's I hate it because he tries to come across like he's smart and he's the authority, and he's not. He's a banker. He's not an economist. And the value is gone, and gold does not go up because the dollar goes down. That's a fairy tale. It's like there's a Snow White fairy tale, right? But there's a real version where her mother tries to kill her because her mother's jealous of her. But what do you see? You see this witch who's really, they call it the stepmother, tries to kill her, and then they kill her at the end. But the real story is the mother's jealous of Snow White and tries to kill her. And that's the real story back 500 years earlier in Germany or England or wherever the hell it happened. All these fairy tales are real, and they all take place hundreds of years earlier, and they're all very dark. And they're really not meant to be fairy tales. So when they tell you the dollars, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down, it's a fairy tale. He's telling you something that he's clueless, right? He doesn't know. He tells you it's right, and you've got to be very careful. Oh, it's alligator. I'm going to listen to him. Why? He doesn't know what he's talking about. It is not the dollar going down. The dollar is gone. The dollar is done. It's at zero. It can't go down. You can't go to negative. Gold goes up, silver goes up because of the demand for it. That's why we need to get rid of COMEX and get into a physical market. All right. So again, you have to understand and problem solve, why is gold and silver the thing to go into? Because you can't print it, because printing, as we see, is really inflation, is really why the value of the dollar is dropping. Plus, it's not backed by anything. So you see that, but in gold and silver, you can't do that. You can't print gold and silver. It's whatever comes out of the mine. And if people try to do that, you can detect it. Oh, shit, the magnet sticks to it. It's fake. So you can spot the fake gold and silver right away. So you know it's fake. And therefore, you can, when you buy real gold and silver. So it's very limited. So you keep your eye on that and going, well, this can't be printed, because that's the key, is the printing of the money makes it worthless. So the longer I hold on to it, the worse it goes to. I think we were watching that yesterday on, what was that guy? I don't know what's his name. Maybe we'll show it again. Well, here's a quick Egon one.
2008 was a good time, at least, to let the system fail. Now it's many-fold worse than it was at that point, and therefore the solution cannot come in an orderly way. It will be a disorderly reset of the system, with parts of the banking system not surviving in its present form, paper assets crashing, including obviously stocks, bonds, derivatives, etc. So we're in for a very, very difficult period in the world. Obviously, physical gold reflects what's happening to money, always has, because physical gold is constant purchasing power. And this is what we're going to see this time again. with gold in paper money terms going up by massive percentages, but in real terms, it will at least maintain purchasing power. But I think because of the very big demand we're going to see for gold, and of course that demand cannot be satisfied by making more gold or refining more gold, because there isn't more gold than around 3,000 tons every year to be had from the mines. And therefore, the only way that the increase in demand of gold can be satisfied is by a higher price, not by more quantities of gold. 2008 was a good time.
So he got that from me because I keep telling him it's demand raising the price because the dollar can't keep going down. So he got that from me. All right, so it was John Stossel.
Costs are going up everywhere, from the grocery store.
All right, it was John Stossel. I'll play that in a minute. So really what you understand is they keep printing the money, it loses value. Money is about the value it's worth. So I can take $1 and buy milk. Now I can't. That's why I show you 1970s and now I show you today. A Coke in 1971 or two was 10 cents for a 12-ounce can. Is now like $2.50. But the 2 liter is $3. It's really strange. And so that's what you understand about it. Money is really the value. It's what can it buy? What can a $100 bill buy? What can a $20 bill buy? That's what money is. It's certain value, and then people sell items, and you buy the items, goods or services. You buy them based on the value. What does it cost me? What do we do, right? Well, steaks are $20 for New York, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm not getting good value, even though you really are, because the $20 bill is worth $2. So you're really getting the steak for $2, but you don't realize that, right? And that's the thing. At the end of the day, it costs you $100 to go grocery shopping and you're bitching. Really, you spent $10. That's really freaks out the mind, right? But that's the same with this. This is worth $20 is now worth $80. That should freak you out in reverse. Wow, I can buy $80 worth of, I can buy 4 steak. So when it's $20, when it's worth $20, I can buy 1 steak. Now it's worth $80, I can buy 4 steaks. Let's just assume the steak's $20. So I went from buying 1 steak to buying 4 steaks. I didn't do anything. I just bought the silver at 20, held on, the price went up to 80. Now I can buy 4 steaks before I could buy 1. That's value. That's what we're talking about in value. So now this lets you buy more because the value of this has gone up. And that's what Egon said. It's the demand of the gold and silver that makes the value go up. So why could I buy 1 steak, but now I can buy 4? So in Alistair McLeod's thinking is, well, it's really not silver going up, it's the dollar going down. No, silver went up because I can now buy 4 steaks, 4 $20 steaks with my $80 silver, not the 1 steak. So the money did go down. Jesus Christ. The money did go down, and that's fine. And if the money went down, I need more money to buy the steak. So on a sense, the inflation is the money value going down, right? And so from an investment standpoint, if our money is losing value, what do we do with it? This isn't even investing. This is just maintaining and breaking even. What do I do with it? Right? I got to do something. What do I do with it? And that's the problem, right? I got to get out of the money because it's losing value. And that's basically what Stossel said. And that's what the Austrian economists say is, wait a minute, you keep printing the money, it loses value. The MMT guy says, well, you can just keep printing and printing and printing. What drugs are you guys on? Where did you come up with that conclusion that you can keep printing and printing and printing and it's not going to hurt the value? That's insanity. Of course you're going to hurt the value. But you can't fix inflation. Once you print $150 trillion, it's the bye-bye blues. You're not going to fix the inflation. You can't. It's already out there. The 150 trillion is already out there. A lot of it is in the petrodollar, where we were buying oil from Saudi Arabia. You had to use dollars, is now gone. So nobody wants the dollars and they're coming back. Then you've got Putin and Xi going, fuck, we need gold and silver because these dollars are worth like a Snickers wrapper. The dollar has no value. They know it. We're too stupid to know it. So this is the problem. So you get out into the one thing, will Bitcoin hold its value? And you see it going from 100 to 67. Did it hold its value? No. Did gold hold its value? Yeah, it went from 2,000 to 5,000. I think gold held its value, right? And that's the proof right there. And it went up in value. Now, as we say, prices are controlled by the market, not by the inflation. So the fact people can, the market can still control. If we don't buy the $20 steak, it goes back down like I just got it on sale for $10. That's what the market does. The market sits there and says, we're not going to pay $20. It's not a fair trade for us. We're not going to do it. Okay. So then you don't do it. And then what happens is the price goes down. Well, wait, I thought there was a high inflation. And that's why you can't measure it. That's why prices are meaningless for inflation. All right. So we're investing and we go, well, all right, when we play poker, we'll invest in poker. We don't really have to pay tax on it, on our winnings, unless we win a whole lot of money and we get 1099 in a tournament. But if we just play cash games, we're fine. We don't have to pay tax on it. But how do we get good at it? I mean, we can't do anything that we don't know. Women, you got to really understand women. You got to keep your cool. You've got to say nice things. You don't want to yell at them. You've got to understand to a point to learn to understand your girl. In poker, how do you understand what to do? Oh, I got pocket aces. I'll bet it $500 and everybody folds. You wasted your aces. So you got to be clever enough. How do I play my aces? Do I just check them? Nobody knows what I have if I check. Or do you bet a little because you don't want everybody in? Because when they throw out the 5 cards in the middle, you're going to lose with aces if you got 8 people with you. So you want to bet enough to get people out, but not too much to get everybody out. When do I bluff? How do I read the other players? How do I read if he's bluffing me? And that's what you're trying to figure out and problem solve with poker. The problem is reading the other player, if he's good, bad, or ugly. And you've got to develop skills and I'm saying it's the betting size. Once in a while, if we get to the river and he checks and I bet and he raises me, then I know he's bluffing. Or if he makes these, real big bets, he's bluffing because he's going to want me to call. And if he bets too much, he wants me to fold, right? What's the point of the bet? You want me to fold. You're betting a lot. So you must not have anything, because if you had a full house, you'd be betting a little. So I'd call because you know you're going to win. So you're problem solving the other players, what they have. How strong is my hand? What did the board help? And, like for example, if I catch a flush, but there's a pair on board, I can't bet it. Because if this other guy's in and I'm making a little bet and he's calling, probably has a set or maybe a full house. So I don't want to get trapped where I get this big bet and he's got a full house and I got a flush and I'm fucked. So I can't bet into that. Now, if there's no pair on board, then I can bet my flush, especially if I have the ace. I can bet it strongly knowing I'm going to win. But if there's a pair of 9s out there with my flush, he could have he could easily have a full house. and I don't want to bet a lot where I could be behind. So you got to figure out the game. You've got to figure out the betting. You've got to figure out the players. Um, you hear people, well, I thought he was weak. I read weakness. Maybe you're going to read weakness on me, and I got 4 kings. Okay. So that doesn't work. It only can be the bet. Because believe me, if you know people are watching you, you're going to give fake tells unless you're a total idiot. I get a little nervous, and and I got a full house. You try to stay calm. You try not to expose too much with your bet. This ace king going all in, as I said, in a cash game, you don't do it. In a tournament, you do it if you're near the end. I got 6 big blinds left. I got ace king. Now I'm going to push all in. But if I got 50 big blinds left, I'm never going all in with ace king. I'm going to play it small, and I want to see the flop. Once I see the flop, then there's less risk because now I've hit the ace or the king. Now I know I've got top pair, top kicker, either the king with the ace or the ace with the king. Now I have a lot more advantage of a lot less risk. I've hit it. Now, did the other guy hit a set of 7s? That will be told by the bet. But pretty much now I can bet my ace king knowing an ace or king came out. So that's poker. It's figuring out, are they bluffers or are they strong bettors? Why the bet? Why did they call? You have to problem solve all that. So you want to play poker? Now I see all these guys at the World Series of Poker, and it's recently on, and I'm watching the Aussie, Oyo Vey, and I believe Chris Moneymaker was a setup. I think he won. They let him win because now look at the poker boom. It's, as I told you, it's like me at Cedar Point playing basketball, and you would pay $1 and you get 3 shots and you'd shoot it, and if you made it, you'd get a prize. Well, it was like a 20-foot shot and a 15-foot basket. But it was legit in the fact if I shot it and it was a good shot, it would go in. And I had 10 basketball players watching me. And when I made it, they all bought and came in because you could do it, right? I proved that you can make the shot. So by Madoff or by Moneymaker winning, it proved that an average Joe could win, which I'm not buying that. I'm buying that they let him win, and now all the average Joes are in, and the pros are licking their lips, going, "God, we got all these idiots, and we're going to clean up," which I'm sure happened. I'm watching. One guy wins in 2015. Then I see the final table for 2016. I don't recognize anybody. And most of them are pros. Oh, he's a New Jersey pro. He's a New York pro. He's a Florida pro. Really? You're actually a professional? What does that mean? You're making money at this? How much money? $100? Are you retired? I mean, come on. Then you get a few good ones like Mike Mizrachi or, who are kind of new. They're not in the Vegas, Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu school. And so you get a few of those. But that's the key point is really watching the bet. It's understanding the player and watching his bet when he's bluffing and watching his bet when he's got a good hand. Then there's the bet when you've got 4 kings, you're not betting at all, but they will still bet the river. Check, river comes. I got 4 kings. Now I'm going to bet. So the question is, why are you checking? You're checking normally if you have a weak hand, you're hoping to catch a straight or a flush, or you got a pair of 8s. You're not going to do much. But when the guys just check, and then they make a big bet on the river, it's 99% they got a huge hand. It's 1% that they're bluffing. They had 4 clubs and didn't make it. So which one is it? But that's just something you got to go with your hand on, and you got to see it. So you're problem solving poker because you have no idea what the guy has, right? I don't know what you have. Now, like Daniel Negreanu calls cards because he looks at the bets. Oh, he came out with a big bet pre-flop, so he's probably got aces or kings. It's not really hard. What else would you put him on? He made a big bet. He doesn't normally make big bets. All of a sudden, there's a big bet. It's got aces or kings. So he says aces or kings. And how did he do that? Because the guy told him he made a big bet on the flop or pre-flop or whatever. So he told him what he did. And he just can figure out if you make a big bet, you got aces or kings. Otherwise, it's just, he's just guessing. Or he sees, he sees an 8 hit and then you make a big bet. You have a pair of 8s because you bet your set of 8s big time. And that was it. So again, you really got to understand before you try to invest in poker. Football, again, we went through it in all my classes here for the whole year. For the last 20 years, it's basically the quarterback. Can you bet on him? The coach, how smart he is. The defense, do they have a good running back with the quarterback? Sort of like Seattle. I walk you right through. Strong defense, great running back. Darnold's okay. And the coach, I don't know. He's a good defensive coach, apparently. I don't know. And then I walked you through it. And I said, this is what it is. And it won. So we figured out how to win most of the time. When I say 75%, that's my picks. My teasers are a whole different animal because I have an art of betting the teaser because I figured out Seattle. Well, if we go back a few weeks, if I go back to week, let's go back a little bit. All right, week 16, I go 10-2, I think. And yeah, the Rams were playing Seattle. I have the Rams 7.5. I win the game. Now, this isn't going to show me how many times I bet them, but how I problem solve is let's go to Philly, Washington, because the Rams were favored, went to underdog, and my trends were for that. So Philly, Washington, Philly's 5-1 as a road favorite. Play against Washington, 12-2 as a home dog or just regular. Philly is an under team with a 16 defense, and Washington's a Z team with the 28 defense. The spread's 6. So I can either take Washington and 12 or Philly even. I took Philly even because they're 5-1 as a road favorite, and Washington 12-2 against, and Washington with the 28 defense. So I'm using all these variables to kind of congregate what I'm looking for. Well, I love betting on the defense and against the weak defense. And Washington was 12-2 against at that time. This is week 16. And Washington was a Z team. They weren't scoring without Daniels, and Philly was an under team. So I bet Philly. They win 29 to, I think, 18. It's either 18 or 19. Let's say 28-19. They covered the even. Look how I problem solved the game. Who are these teams? An under team and a Z team. A 28 defense against a 16 defense. Hurts against Mariota. They're play against Washington 12-2, and Philly's a 5-1. So I look at these factors to figure out the game. That's why I bet 12 games that week. And let's see if I see my lock. My lock was let's see. Chicago ended up being a 1.5 point favorite over Green Bay. Actually, I think let's go to another lock because it changed. I hate when these lines change like that. Okay. All right. Detroit, Pittsburgh. This was my other lock. So my lock was I think the Bears plus 7.5 because Green Bay started as 1.5. And then it went to Chicago 1.5, but I'd already bet the Bears at home getting 7.5. They ended up winning 22-16. Let's go to our other lock, Pittsburgh, Detroit. My line, Detroit -4. Detroit was a 7-point favorite. The total on the game was 51.5. Pittsburgh's an under team with a 21 defense and Aaron Rodgers. I got Aaron Rodgers, but Detroit's an over team with the 29 defense. So I know Pitt's going to score with Aaron Rodgers. They did get DK Metcalf was there. So I don't know if they got the running back or whatever. So Pittsburgh had to win the game, as did Detroit. I know Detroit's going to score on Pittsburgh, but Detroit's defense is terrible. So I know Pittsburgh's going to score. So I got Detroit as an over team with the 29 and Pitt with an under team with the 21, but should score more against this weak defense with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I think he had been hurt and he came back. And we got Rodgers against Golf. Huge edge to Rodgers. Total 51.5. I lock it over 45.5 as I like locking the Detroit games over when they play a decent quarterback. The only time would be Houston and Philadelphia if I didn't play them over. And Pittsburgh wins 29-24, a 53 total, of which I was 51 minus 6, 45. So I need 45 points. I get 53. So I win the over. It's locked. So it's in multiple teasers. And that's the strength of betting football. When you find it, that's the strength of betting teasers. It takes away the fixes. And so I only look at the game as, do I need 45? And I go, fuck, in the Detroit game, they're going to score in the 20s, and Pitt's going to score in the 20s, which is a 48, and I only need 45. So I ended up getting a 53. But so the key is I'm betting it in it. I see it as a lock, and then I bet it probably in 2 teasers. So when you ask me what was my teaser, well, I got to just go with the picks. It was a very strong pick to take the Bears under, or the Bears plus 7.5. It was a very strong play to play Detroit, Pittsburgh, to play that game over. I also had New England as a dog to Baltimore. I also had San Francisco even against Indy because Phillip Rivers was playing. I had Denver, Jacksonville over because I know Denver scores a lot. Jacksonville was a high-scoring team. I had Cleveland, Buffalo under because it was a very cold day. What was it? Yeah, Buffalo was laying 10. I didn't like to lay 4. So I played the game under, and it was Allen against Prime Jr., and it was 23-20, a 43. The total was 41. I went under 47, so I won that. San Diego, Dallas. I took San Diego as a dog, getting 8.5. They won 34-17 because Dallas can't be. So what am I doing? I'm problem solving each team. Oh, the Jets are a Z team. Tennessee, a Z team. Buffalo, an over team. Jacksonville, an A team playing Denver, an under team. Pitt, Detroit, an over team against an under, but I know against Detroit they're going to score more. New England, an A team playing Baltimore, and they're the dog. And Frisco, an A team playing Indy, an under team, and they're the dog. So by understanding the teams and the quarterbacks and how the coaches play, you can understand how to make the bet. And especially in a 6-point teaser, I know some of you play 10-point teasers. Trust the 6 points. It's more than enough when I'm picking. So people like Ron needs the 10-pointer. But I have to problem solve the teams to problem solve the bets. And then I use my little teaser trends. New England was 13-1 in a teaser, 6-0 as a road dog, and here they're a road dog to Baltimore. So that's where I use the trends to help, but that's not the pick. The pick isn't New England's 13-1. The pick is they're an A team playing Baltimore, an under team. New England's playing pretty well. May and Lamar. May's a little bit better, but you can't trust Lamar. And they're 13-1. So that helped. If they were 1-13, that would stop me, but 13-1. Let's see. So New Orleans and the Jets play against New Orleans 11-2, play against the Jets 12-2, road dogs. So that helps. The Bear game, play against Green Bay, was 11-2 as a road favorite. Chicago at home was 6-0, and Chicago was 12-2 in a teaser. That's why I locked the Bears. So I use some of that strategy is how are they psychological wise? Are they a good dog? Are they good at home? Are they good at road? How's their quarterback? How's their coach? All of a sudden Vrabel came over. He sucked at Tennessee. All of a sudden he's doing well at New England. But because they didn't play anybody, they finally get into a big game. And then we saw them in the Super Bowl. They didn't show up. They'll have a much harder schedule next year. They'll be lucky to go 500. They'll be lucky to go 9-8 next year. Because now they get to play the hard teams. Kansas City, Denver, San Diego, Philadelphia, Seattle, the Rams. You watch, there'll be a Seattle, New England game. And so now we'll see what they're made of. It hurt Detroit. Detroit couldn't handle the hard schedule, which they never can. And then you've got Detroit's a team that beats up the easy teams, the weak teams, but then when they play the hard teams, they lose. That's why they struggle in the playoffs. That's why they normally struggle in some of these games. But that's how you bet football. That's how you bet all sports. It's the difference in football. I can adjust my lines. Like baseball is basically money line. And we really struggle with baseball. It's more looking at the pitcher's ERAs. So, this is a real good pitcher. They're going to have a hard time hitting him. That's all we can do. But because you get 5 or 6 innings, because the managers have their heads way up their ass, that this 5-inning crap, it's very difficult to bet. Although I know there are 5-inning bets, I guess, but I haven't really looked at them. Basketball's fixed. You can't bet it. Hockey's hockey's pretty much money line. So it's hard to bet those. So football is the primary. The teasers are a huge edge. The 6 points, because we make our own line. So if my line's 7, like the Super Bowl, Seattle was 7-point favorite, and my line was only 4.5. So I go plus 1.5, and most people would cross 0 in a teaser. Again, they get this thing in their mind, I can't cross 0, and they won't. You're leaving money on the table. Seattle was the play. They're a very strong play. It was a lock, and you're not betting it because I got 1.5 in a game I knew they were going to win by 2 touchdowns. So I'm not going to bet it because I'm only getting 1.5 in a teaser, and unless it's 3.5, I can't bet a teaser. You guys are on drugs. What are you talking about? So that's what I'm looking at. Johnsy TK, you ever watch baseball? Well, yeah, I played baseball. You ever do baseball bets? Yeah, if you, I give picks once baseball season gets rolling, and I basically do the ERAs of the pitchers, and it's very difficult because the pitchers don't play the whole game. If I went back in the time machine to 1967, 1966, we'd have made a fortune, because every time this guy named Koufax or Bob Gibson pitched, Bob Gibson had like a 1.1 ERA in 67 or 68. Koufax could have had more than a 1.5 ERA, and they pitched the whole game. It would have been under City. We'd have been at 6.5, and we'd go, Koufax pitching, we'll go under, and we'd cash every game. But now you've got this 5-inning crap, which makes it extremely difficult. I don't know if Vegas is behind this 5.5, this 5 innings shit or not, but That's why all these managers and coaches get fired, because at the end of the day, they need to win. At the end of the day, they don't know what they're doing, especially in football. Let's go for fourth down. You lose, you don't get it, you lose the game, and then you're fired because you don't know what you're doing. And that's what we're dealing with in football. But sports betting is a different animal. Professionally, yes, I'm a professional handicapper and a professional football player, bettor. I've made a ton of money betting football games. That's been my thing. That's my passion. That's my precious. But I've got it down to a science. But I understood it's very difficult in baseball. Basketball, I've never had enough time to bet it because football. I'm not taking time off in October, November, December to analyze basketball games. I don't have time, especially with college and everything else. So I focus on football. It's like if you're focusing on poker, you're doing it, or if you're focusing on gold and silver. I focus on the best possible thing that's going to make us the most money. And I'm here telling you about that. So when people don't understand, when I tell you to buy gold and silver, and I got people here in Bitcoin or playing gold and silver stocks, I don't understand it. I can't comprehend people being that stupid because I understand what I'm doing. That's like that one guy with the Super Bowl, and he was on New England. Are you out of your mind? I'm a professional who've been done this since I was 10 years old, and I'm in my 60s, and you want to insult me by taking New England? Really? And how did that work out for you? You lost. Why do people need to do it on their own when they have a resource that will teach them? And if I taught them, they would never have played New England. If so, you're not learning from what I'm teaching you, then what are you doing here? This is a class. If you don't want to be in the class, don't come. But don't insult the class by saying I like New England. And I'm giving you a score of 27-13 Seattle, and they win 29-13. I'm nailing the score of a fucking game. And you're betting on the other team. And you're losing. And you're at Bitcoin. And you're losing. What do you want from me? I'm telling you it's a Ponzi scheme. I'm telling you what team to bet. I give you the reasons. And yet you ignore all that because you know more than me. And that's the problem. You don't know more than me when it comes to football or gold or silver. I guarantee it. So what the fuck? You're here to learn, listen, and learn. Not to come up with your own method, because your method is not going to be as good as my method. It's not personal. I've been doing this since 1969. That's 60 years. You haven't. I know exactly why I win and lose. I've had the Steelers in the 70s in Montana and Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Hurricanes in 84. And all the way through, I understand why I win and why I lose. And so I've got it down to a science. And you can't beat that. There's nothing you can tell me. You can do a formula. Bullshit. You can't do a formula because you can't get the variables right. I already know that. If there was a formula, I would use it. The best formula I have is just to do a teaser trend, which helps me knowing this team's very good in a teaser, which basically just tells me these are the strong teams and the weak teams you bet against, which I already tell you that. New England was a strong team, but the difference was the offensive line, and Drake May's not very good. And Kenneth Walker and the Seattle defense. That was the key, was the Seattle defense. So how did you come up with New England? Did you ignore the Seattle defense? Or you looked at them against the Rams and said, well, they're not that good. And I told you, well, that's Stafford and Pukanuka. You're not facing a Stafford and a Pukanuka in this game. Against the Niners, look at them, right? So that's insulting when not only are you not listening, but you're going the other way. That's just insulting. Go on somebody else's class and telling me about New England if that's what you want. But I don't need your picks here. This isn't about you giving me your picks. I don't care about your picks. I'm teaching you why to bet my picks, which are over 70%, and I'm sure you're probably 40%. Anyway, so I tell you gold and silver because you can't print it. That's why they've been around a long time, and Egon finally gets it, that because the demand for the gold will make the value of the gold go up, and that's what's happening. It's the demand from BRICS, China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, South Africa, all these other countries joining. I don't know if Japan's going to join, but Korea and Iran's joining, and these are big power countries. Iran's got a bunch of oil. They got a bunch of money. And that's why Trump's there, because they got oil, and Trump's trying to grab their oil because he knows we're broke, because he knows the MMT, you can't just keep printing and don't worry about the debt. So he knows we're in debt. He knows we're in trouble. And so he's trying to get to these oil-rich countries, Venezuela and Iran, and get the stuff out of the Ukraine, because he knows that's where to go to steal money. He's trying to do Hitler 2.0. Hitler goes to the central banks and all these Brussels and Czechoslovakia and Poland to steal their gold. That's what Hitler did. And he was going to Russia to steal their gold. And Russia said, you're not getting our gold. He also tried to get their oil. Trump's Hitler 2.0. Here he is. We're broke like Hitler was. I need money. I'll go to war and go steal the assets of the Ukraine and all these other countries. And it isn't working. So that gets you into the investment. So we understand how to bet football, what to look for: defense, quarterback, coach. We keep our stats. We've refined it by saying take the last 5 or 6 games, because that shows you a better thing of how they're playing right now, keeping track of the injuries. The whole year doesn't make sense because they don't play preseason anymore. So the first 3 weeks are total trash. So once you get to about week 8, week 9, you can do last 5 and you get a better idea of the team. Because the team won't score in week 1, but all of a sudden they start scoring 30 in week 6. Maybe they made an adjustment to the quarterback. Maybe they got some injured guys back. And we'll see. And then, like, you got the Ben Johnsons, who we don't know what they're going to be. And now we see it was really Ben Johnson, not Dan Campbell, who made the Lions good. As soon as Ben Johnson leaves, the Bears win the title, and the Lions go 9-8. Well, there you go. Now everybody's leaving. The offensive linemen are all quitting. The defense, too many injuries. Well, we had the same excuse the year before. I love how the Lions use excuses. Oh, well, we lost to Washington because we had a lot of injuries. We beat Minnesota with a lot of injuries. Why is that a factor? Then last year, they had Hutchinson. Well, yeah, there's somebody else got injured. That's because you don't have backups, because your GM's an idiot who doesn't understand there's going to be injuries in the game, and you can't pay all these guys $30 million and leaving, $500,000 for your backup cornerback. When everybody gets hurt on the team, they should be playing on grass and artificial turf. I've ran on it. It kills you. I don't know how anybody can play on it. Grass, yeah, no problem. So that's your biggest problem. But now we're realizing, oops, Ben Johnson was the key. So, but you got to take 4 or 5 weeks. And nobody believed the Bears were anything till Thanksgiving because they had such a weak schedule, which is a problem with this league, with the scheduling. You get every last place team, like, dudes, okay, mix it up a little bit. So they went to Philly and they won. And then you start realizing, fuck, they beat Philly. Philly had their problems on offense. Again, replacing their offensive coordinator. So now it's a coordinator game because the head coaches have their heads up their ass, unless it's a guy like Sean Payton and Sean McVay, who are the offensive coordinators. That's why you like betting on them. So I can bet on them. I already know what I got. Like week 1 will be Denver, the Rams, San Francisco. Now we got to stay away from Detroit. Green Bay, we pretty much know their coach and quarterback. So the coaches who are the offensive coordinators, we have an idea who they are. Green Bay is going to be Green Bay. Pittsburgh, we got a whole new coach. So now all these variables change. But you got to be smart enough to understand the variables changing. It's just like the dollar. BRICS comes along and wants to dump all the dollars for gold and silver, which is going to make the demand for gold and silver go up. We know there's no supply. We know it's been COMEX price fixed, so that's going to go away. China and Russia are going to price it physically. So we jump into gold and silver because it's very, very limited in supply, huge demand. The variables have changed because now BRICS is there buying the shit out of it. And the price has to go up. And that's what it went from 2,000 to 5,000 pretty quick. So we have all that. It's the stock market that we don't know. It's Bitcoin. Why does Bitcoin go up and down? We have no idea. There is absolutely no idea why it goes up or down because it's not even real. So we understand it's not even real. We understand it's not backed by anything and you can't even see it. What does a Bitcoin look like? They'll show you the gold coin with the B. Well, that's a gold coin. That's not a Bitcoin. Well, it says B on it. Yeah, it's not a Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is invisible. So do you really want to be in something that's invisible? No. So people that think Bitcoin is real are just have their heads up their asses. You can't prove to me Bitcoin's worth anything because it isn't. So the stock market's being kind of manipulated. The bank's holding the dollar's worth everything. I'll show you this John Stossel thing. So as you're going through this, you're realizing that it's pushing you to your only option. Yeah, you can bet football and poker on the side, but as a pro, I don't know. Yeah, you can bet. The way I've figured out football, you can be a pro at that if you listen to me. I make good money at it, and I take the money and buy gold and silver with it. I don't keep the money because the money's worthless. So I'm smart enough to realize if I do make money on an investment to sell it and immediately turn it into gold and silver. My Rumpelstiltskin effect. That's the first thing you do. So if you get money, you don't want to hold it. It's not going to hold value, right? So we go back to the beginning. Is the money worth anything? We realize, no, it's not backed by gold and silver. It doesn't have a value. So then we play all these Titanic games to get off the Titanic, which is the lifeboat of gold and silver, where stocks and bonds and real estate trusts and mutual funds and annuities and Bitcoin are all worthless because they're all in dollars. So the game's getting out of the dollars. So as I said, my Matrix game where I'm the wizard, or I guess I'm the professor, and you got to find me, and then I tell you the secret is to get into gold and silver, and then you go out and you're free. You've been reborn free because the secret is to get into gold and silver. I mean, look what you do. You buy a stock, you're going to get 1099 for it. You got your money in the bank, interest income. I don't have any interest income in gold and silver. There's no interest. I just watch the value keep going up, and there's nothing that says I have to pay tax on value going up. So that's the key to it. All right, let's watch John Stossel. It's a 5-minute thing. It's on inflation. I think I showed it the other day, but it's very good.
Costs are going up everywhere, from the grocery store to the gas station.
Up 7% this year, the worst inflation in 40 years. Americans are upset about it.
Inflation has eclipsed the coronavirus as their number one concern.
Used to buy bacon for $2.40 a pound. It spiked up to $6.
As inflation rose, government experts told us, don't worry, it's transitory.
I don't anticipate that inflation is going to be a problem.
In the end, it will be transitory.
Now they say,
I'm ready to retire the word trans.
See, keep in mind, what did I just say? You can't reverse inflation. There's no such thing as transitory. There's no such thing as it's not going to happen or it's temporary, because it's printing the money, killing the value of the dollar. You can't regain the value of the dollar once you've killed it. It's just what happens because it's printing too much dollar, killing the value. Once you kill the value is gone. What they did in Germany in 1923 was to come out with a new dollar. They went from the I can't remember, the Bundesmark to the Deutschmark. I know there's a different word for the first one, but they went to the Deutschmark, and that because it was a new currency, they didn't have inflation in that in the beginning, but it ended up being inflationary. And when Hitler took over in 32, there was huge inflation, and the Deutschmark had no value. So again, if you don't back it by gold, it has no value. So the only way out of the US dollar's inflation is to come up with USD number 2. And if it's not backed by gold, that'll only last you 6 months till everybody realizes you haven't changed anything. Because it's the rest of the world will not buy the dollar. So the Russians and the Chinese and the Japanese aren't going to buy a dollar not backed by gold. They're going to see it's still worthless. And so you haven't done anything. So again, inflation it's money printing, making the value worthless, which is, as you can see, you go to the grocery store, it's a $20 New York strip. The meat didn't go up. The value of the dollar is dropping, so it takes more dollars to buy the meat. But it's not always, the prices go to what the market bears.
So what went wrong? Some politicians blame greedy corporations.
This is about price gouging.
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed.
Greed is constant.
Economist David Henderson studies inflation.
If it's greed, how do we explain when prices fall? Do oil companies just suddenly decide, I'm going to be less greedy?
That's why the price gouging claim is silly. Prices change because of supply and demand. Inflation results
From too much money chasing too few goods.
That's not right.
So if government's spending more money, that's more money chasing too few goods.
The motion is
It's too much money being printed. How many goods there are irrelevant. It's you're printing money and the money becomes worthless. It's not too much money chasing too few goods. That makes no sense. Are you supposed to have enough money to chase all the goods? How could you ever do that in a free market, in our Adam Smith market where things change all the time? You would never be able to print enough money to chase the goods, and that would be an even Steven. It could never happen. It's to back the money by gold gets rid of the inflation, but inflation is printing money, making it worthless. You're inflating the money supply, which kills the value of your money. So it's simple.
adopted.
government is spending more money.
$1.9 trillion COVID relief bill.
But because government has no money of its own, extra spending means politicians must borrow more, tax more, or create money out of thin air by printing it.
If a counterfeiter prints money and spends it, everyone understands what's wrong with that. Well, the Federal Reserve essentially is doing the same thing.
In the last few years, the Fed has printed more money than ever in history. That makes the money we have less valuable. So not only do I need more of these to buy something, but also people who save money lose what they've saved. At today's inflation rate, $10,000 in a savings account will, in just 20 years, be worth only $2,300. If you were counting on that money for retirement, you're screwed. And yet today's politicians on both sides want to spend more.
$738 billion in defense funding. If we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation.
Biden's wrong. There's no.
Are we going to reduce inflation? So if Biden keeps saying it, then it's going to happen. So as you just pointed out, if you keep your money in the bank, the money becomes worthless. So that's the other part of it. That's why you invest, because if you just hold your money, you don't think you're risking, right? You don't think it's a risk to just hold the money. Well, I want risk free. So I'm going to keep the money in the bank in a CD and not risk it. And that's just total bullshit. Also, look at your risk. Is the dollar dropping in value? That's your risk. So once you realize that if you do nothing, that's a risk, forces you to do something. So don't be naive. I make my money and I got 20 grand in the bank and now I can retire. I'm going to use it or whatever. It's not going to be worth anything. And that's what I keep pointing out to you. That's why it takes more dollars to buy your groceries and pay your bills, because this isn't worth anything. And therefore, to save this, it's not worth anything. But on the contrary, if we trade it for this, so if I take my dollar and buy silver with it, look what happened to silver. It went from 20 an ounce to 80 an ounce. It actually got to 120, and it'll be back there. So once it gets to this, that's a different story, right? This is going up. So why this went from 10 grand to 2 grand, this went from 2 grand to 10 grand. So this offsets. So this is why you buy this. You buy this to get out of this, because this isn't going to hold value because these idiots keep printing it. That's why it's losing. If it was backed by gold, your dollar would be fine. The 10,000 you had in the bank would still be 10,000 if it was backed by gold. That's why we were the most prosperous time was between 1814 to 1913, when we're on the gold standard pretty much, and there was no central bank to fuck around printing the money. Look at the central banks then. Since JP Morgan put it in 1914, it introduced income tax, massive inflation, 1929 stock market crash, World War I and World War II and Korea and Vietnam. This whole thing is basically killed the country having the central bank. And then all the other countries are stupid enough to all have central banks. So every country's got a central bank, which means every country's broke. What a bunch of morons. Because they don't ask the question why, or there's political pressure, or George Soros, whatever it is, it's the end of money. So unless you're holding gold and silver, you're totally fucked. Your stocks won't be worth anything.
Economic theory that says when the government spends a huge amount more money, prices fall.
But people are worried, and many want government to do something.
If that leads us to price controls, it will be horrible.
Price controls have been tried before.
A freeze on all prices.
Seems like a simple solution. It's just intuitive to people. Yeah, inflation, okay. Pass a law, put a lid on prices.
It is intuitive, and that's where people's intuition goes wrong.
Because prices are not just money, they're information.
Prices are
Prices, though, are not inflation. This is the biggest problem. People think prices are inflation. Oh, well, the steak went from $10 to $20. That's inflation. No, the inflation is the money printing. It takes more dollars to buy the steak. That's the inflation, not that the price of the steak went up, but because it takes more dollars to buy the steak. It's the money being printed is the inflation, not the price. The price is controlled by the market. If we don't want to pay $20 for New York Strip, they put it on sale for $10 like they just did. Why did they put it on sale for $10 for, what was it, the Super Bowl or whatever? Yeah, I think it was for the Super Bowl. Why did they make it go from 20 to 10? Because nobody was buying it. If there's no market for it, if there's no demand, price goes down. That's why when I see silver and gold go down, it just shakes your head, because you're going, why is it going down? There's no reason for it to go down. The value of the gold and silver did not drop. Therefore, the demand did not drop. Therefore, the price should not go down. What the fuck's going on? All right.
controls. People see prices as these artificial things. We economists see prices as things that guide people both as buyers and producers. And if you mess that up, you've really messed up the economy.
Price changes tell buyers what to avoid and sellers what to produce. When the price of face masks rose 2 years ago, that inspired producers to make more. When fewer people flew, it led to a cheap price bonanza. Flexible pricing gets suppliers to produce what people really need.
You think we have shortages now? Wait till we get price controls.
When President Nixon imposed them,
That's what caused those lineups for gasoline, which really were destructive.
It's ridiculous waiting online here.
we waited in line for hours.
Did you get gas today? Where'd you find it? Where do I go? Price.
All right, let's explain price controls. There's supply and demand, right? So if it costs me, if it costs me $20, I got to sell this for 30. If you price control me to 25 and it costs me 25 to make this now, but I can only sell it for 25, I'm not going to make it. That's why you have shortages, because the producers are in it to make money. And if you don't allow them to raise prices to make money, so it cost me 20, I got to sell it for 30. If you don't allow me that and you price fix it down to 20, but it cost me 20 to make it, I'm not going to make it. And that's why you have the long lines, because obviously the companies couldn't make profit, so they stopped selling to the U.S. because there's no profit here. We need to charge 99 cents and we can only charge 69 cents and it costs us 79 cents, so we're not going to sell it. And that's what happens. So that's why you need the market to dictate the prices, not price fixing. Price fixing will never and can never work, not even close.
Controls are like saying it's really cold. I'm going to solve that by breaking the thermometer.
This says it's freezing.
I don't get that.
I don't like being cold, so I'll fix it.
But it's actually worse than that, because breaking the thermometer at least doesn't make the temperature get colder, whereas price controls cause actual shortages.
Like empty supermarket shelves. People in Venezuela experienced that, and the price controls didn't stop inflation. In fact, it got much worse.
It's the oil-rich country's inflation rate at 270%.
700% this year.
400,000%.
In Zimbabwe,
President Robert Mugabe decided to change his country's economic policy.
he simply printed more money.
35 quadrillion Zim dollars. That's what $1 US will cost you in Zimbabwe.
At the end, they were printing $100 trillion bills. Of course, nothing like this has happened here yet, and it most probably won't. But with politicians from both parties always wanting to spend more, it could happen here. Thanks for watching.
See, people like to give away things for free, and that is the problem. So we saw Mark McGuire the other day. Anyway, don't have too many videos today, but basically, you have to invest because your money loses value because of the inflation, because it's not backed by gold and silver. That's all you need to know. No gold and silver backing the money, it's worthless. So what do I do to get out of my money? Now, the Ponzi scheme problem was the COMEX was keeping the gold and silver price down. So people didn't see it as an option. The financial planners or analysts or your brokers wouldn't put you in gold and silver because they didn't make commission on it. So you didn't see the price go up because COMEX was keeping it down because there was no bricks. And that's the problem. So you didn't, well, why should I buy gold? I don't see the price going up because people are in a price mood. But if you would have just bought gold at $100, $200 an ounce, This was, I think, 250 in 1995. So had I bought 100 ounces of gold then, I'd never work again a day in my life, because now it's up to 5,000 on its way to 20,000. But that's, you saw the price, so you didn't buy it. That's really the problem. But if you understood it, you would have known, oh, COMEX is price fixing it. They're manipulating the price because it works on options. If you would have understood that, you would have been buying gold and silver as fast as, like I got those Highland Mints, 1990s, when I'd go to the card shows to buy cards, and you would have, I think it was $15 for a silver coin. It was $15 for the price of silver. Now it's at 80. So you don't worry too much about the price, because if it's price fixed, until then, once you break the price fixing, which is what we've done with BRICS. BRICS changes the variable in the COMEX price fixing. It then makes gold 5,000 an ounce on its way to 10. Silver is up to 80 on its way to 500 to 1,000. And so now you realize it, but people were looking at gold and silver as an investment, which was wrong. The money they had in dollars has gone down. I mean, it was, like I say, it was, a car was $2,500 for a car in 1971, 72 is now 50,000. That's the inflation. So you could have bought, well, it's not like you could have held a car, but let's say, I don't know what you could have held. A nice mantle card from the 68 mantle card you could have bought for nothing. And you could have bought 100 of them, or 65 mantles, and just get real good condition and sit back, and you bought them for $1 a piece, and now they're worth thousands of dollars. That's 65 with the pennant mantle. That was a PSA 9 was going for 60, 70,000. Imagine what a 10 would go for. So again, if you would have bought assets, even a Rolex would be dirt cheap back then. The gold and silver was dirt cheap. The mantle cards were dirt cheap. And that's what you would have done had we known now. But no, you stayed in money. Now, you made money in stocks, but they're more manipulated than anything. So you got to be careful. The money in the bank wouldn't have got you anything. You could have put, 10 grand in a bank in 1971, and it would be worth nothing now. Right? Your money in the bank would not be, you would have gotten the small 2-3% interest for 50 years, and the 10 grand would be worth 15. After inflation, it would be worth 0. It would be worthless. So to avoid the inflation, which is the money printing and the value of the dollar dropping, you buy gold and silver, because you can't print that and it goes up. As far as the rest of it, I mean, theoretically, you can make money playing poker, but you got to be very careful and really understand it. And football, that I can explain to you, and I have each week, and that you can make good money at, and then simply sell that for gold and silver. I mean, I bought a car, a Camry with it. I bought a VCR when they first came out. These big ones are $1,000. I bought one of those. A lot of clothes, a lot of vacations. So yeah, you can, but you have to have a very different mind. You have to ignore the rest of the people. You have to ignore people that have different ideas. You have to be open to the ideas, but you have to know. Like I said, when I took Seattle in the Super Bowl and somebody says, take New England, I'm not even listening to them. Once I bet it quick, and somebody told me, well, take your time. Don't bet it so quick. I go, I already know what I'm betting. I already know what the score is going to be. I already know what's going to be, the game's going to be, because I've been watching Seattle and the Rams and the Niners, and here's New England, and they struggled with Houston. They struggled with Denver. Says there's no way they're not going to score on Seattle. And I knew that as soon as I saw it, I knew it. And I made my spread 7. It was 4. It was a no-brainer. So it's not like I rushed the pick. I already knew what if I saw the right line, I was going to, if they made Seattle 14, I wouldn't. If they made the total 40, I would have struggled. But at 46, going under 52 was a joke, and then 4 to 1.5 was a joke. So football, I got down very, very cold. But you do teasers. People don't understand that. You buy gold and silver because they can't print it, and you have to get out of the dollar. So the investing is, I can't sit in dollars, and I can't sit in things that have dollars. So if I do play poker, or if I do bet football, or if I do go into a real estate trust or stock, I immediately have to take my profit, pull it out, and buy gold and silver with it. Because the longer it sits in Apple, even though it goes up, it's in dollars, it's worthless. Bitcoin, didn't even touch it. Don't even understand it. I don't get how it has a price figured. There's no supply and demand. There's nothing. Digital capital is not real. That's like me doing a spreadsheet. Well, there's no value to it. Yeah, I've contributed and made it a smarter thing, but there's no. You can't put it on your financial statement that I created a macro or a spreadsheet or a model. I don't know what the guy's talking about. I have no idea, but I would not be in Bitcoin. I never was. I saw the price go to 100, then to 120, and now it's 67. Where's it going from here? Who the fuck knows? But I know it's in dollars, which is a bad thing. And we got to get back off the Titanic into the lifeboat. There's only two, gold and silver. So the investment is a smart thing, but you have to really understand real estate trust, annuities, what the fuck are you getting into to use to invest. But yes, really what the investment is I got to get out of dollars and into gold. And what's the best motive to do that? And it could be football betting and it could be poker playing. But when you win at poker, you must go and switch to gold and silver. If you don't, what's the point of winning at poker? Because you're sitting in dollars that are worthless. So you can't win in that. So anyway, that's kind of it. Anything else? Questions, comments? Do I ever do basketball bets or baseball bets? Not in real life. I do pick the games here, but I'm not betting on baseball, 5-inning crap. Do I ever watch baseball? Well, yeah, I played baseball, but I didn't. I played till Pony Cole. I played till I was, I think, 14. So Little League ends at 12. I kept playing 13 and 14. And then I started working at Farmer Jack's when I was 16. So that was that. And then it helped me bet football. So I'd make the money. I'd bet a lot of football. The only thing I didn't do properly was take the money and buy gold and silver. I wonder what the price was in 1978, 79, 80. I can check that. Let's see. Gold price in 1980. That's what the gold price is in 2026. We're at 49.89 and 76.60. But let's go back 30 years. Well, I can't see 19. It only goes back to 1996. And it's not a very handy look. Let's go into Google. Let's go gold price in 1980. Yeah, it's a terrible chart. To 1980 was actually 850 an ounce. Then it went down to 300 to 400 an ounce by 85. Average price fell from 600 in 1980 to roughly 317 in 1985. Oh, here we go. So gold was 672 in 80, 531 in 81, 420 in 82, 470 in 83, 360 in 84, 317. So basically, you could have been buying it for $300 an ounce in the 80s. So you'd hate to buy it at 672 and then watch it go down to 300. So 300 an ounce, I could have bought, each year I won in football, I could have bought, at least 10 ounces to 20 ounces. Let's do gold price, 1975 to 1990. In 75, it was 160. I started working at the grocery store, I think 77 or so. $1970. No, gold was $35 an ounce. Oh, 1990. Here we go. 75, it was 139. 76 was 133. 77 was 161. 78, 208. So had I started buying in 77, I think I was 18 working at the grocery store and betting my football. So I could have bought it for 161 and 77 and 208 and 78. So I could have been buying it then and on my way. Miami released Tyreek Hill. Okay. Tyreek Hill is one of these guys that is really stupid. Instead of winning Super Bowls on Kansas City, upping his worth, he goes to Miami where he didn't win shit. And what was the point of going? So he made some money at Miami. Kansas City was smart not to sign him because you can't, if you pay him $30 million, you can't pay your defense, which is what the Lions seem to not understand. But Tyreek Hill should have taken a little bit less and stayed on Kansas City and won a bunch more Super Bowls. So that was a big mistake by him. See, you go after the money, but you lose the point. You'd have been much better winning Super Bowls than taking more money and doing nothing because now he has no worth. But if look at Mahomes, he's won 3 or 4 Super Bowls, so he's got value for that. Look at Dan Marino. He didn't win a Super Bowl. Look at Dan Fouts. Hopefully Joe Burrow wins a few, but that's the difference. Anyway, so that's what an investment is. To summarize, you've got money, you go to work, you make money, you pay your bills, whatever's left, you can't leave it in the bank. It'll go down in value. Money per se is worthless, will go down in value. So you must get out of money. Stock market, you're still in money and it's fake. And Bitcoin is still in dollars, so it's fake. The only thing not in dollars is gold and silver. And I know gold and silver is priced in dollars, but it doesn't need to be. Gold and silver are money and don't need to be priced in dollars versus Bitcoin has to, because there's no such thing as a Bitcoin. And the stock market, if you take them out of dollars, they're worthless. There is no value in Apple or Amazon. Real estate trusts, there's no value. Your house is valued in dollars, goes to zero. So is your car. But in gold, they'll be valued. And that's where the gold. So the gold doesn't need the money to be worth something. Everything else does. That's why our lifeboat's gold and silver. And that's it. So you're getting out. So in other words, if you just stay, your money's going to go to zero. You'll lose everything. You won't be able to retire. You're fucked. So that's one of the things you try to avoid, is that whole thing. You try to get out of the crap you're in. And that's it. So yes, if you try to play poker, if you try to, and don't just play a lot of hands in poker and think that's going to teach you poker. It's not. It's understanding the other person's bets. That's what you need to understand. We all know what poker is. I got a full house. It beats a flush. It beats a straight. Yeah, we get it. But what you're trying to guess is the two cards in the guy's hand. That's what you're guessing, and you'll never know it. So you have to just if I have top pair, I'm calling regardless. Unless it's Joe Blow, who only bets when he's got a full house. And I've seen that happen at MGM. The old guy who's on his pension, who can't really afford it, but when he makes a bet, he's got to have the hand. Now, if you got him beat, you take advantage of that. If you don't have him beat, you don't. You just call it. But so you can learn poker. Football is very, very complex. Fortunately, you got me who can teach you, who I have. Basically, understanding the keys are defense, coach, and quarterback. And then you look at the trends to say, oh, they're good on the road as a dog. They're good as a home favorite. They're bad as a road favorite. We got some teams that are bad as road favorites. Some teams are good as road favorites. Oh, Mahomes, he's a dog. We bet on it. Lamar, we stay away from. So this new coach for Baltimore, we need to see how good he is. He's never coached before. Does he know what he's doing? Does he know what he's getting into with Lamar? They're in big trouble. And so you need 5-6 games to figure out at least how good is this new coach? How can I bet him? You have no idea how to bet Jesse Mentor or the Harbaugh at Buffalo or any of these coaches. You have no idea how to bet any of them. Look at Ben Johnson. Not only did we start betting Ben Johnson, but we got off of Dan Campbell, realizing he sucks, that it was Ben Johnson who was good, not Dan Campbell. So now we understand Dan Campbell. Yeah, he grunts and groans and yells and screams like Lombardi, but the difference is Lombardi actually could coach and had good plays and actually won all the championships. It didn't matter if his offensive coordinator left or not. Lombardi ran the team. You don't have that with Dan Campbell. Might run the team, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't coach plays. He relies on his offensive coordinator. They hired another terrible one from Arizona. I want a guy who they score 30 points a game. I'll make him my offensive coordinator. Somebody that had an under team of 15 to 16 points a game. Do I want him as my offensive coordinator? I don't think so. All right. So I will leave you with that. And we will go from there. Let's take our last look at our gold and our silver. And I will leave you with silver, 76.75, making a move. Gold starting to fight up. So we got 49.93. It'll go back to 5,000. And silver, 76.76. So fortunately, with the Chinese New Year holiday not really having that big of an effect on this. And all I can say is there's certain days that gold and silver really jump up. And then there's certain days that they go down. And it's all fixed. It's all bullshit until we get a physical market that China and Russia are doing where you want to buy a bar. Okay, this is what it's selling for. And that the public buys it. Or you want to sell a bar, you got to have the bar. Here's the bar, and what are you buying it for? And until that happens, you're going to get this Mickey Mouse bullshit of these prices going up and down. based on options instead of a classical market where the bidder and the seller get together and say, this is what I think it's worth, like a Mickey Mantle card. I'm going to sell it for 90 grand. Okay, I'll take it for 90 grand. That's a fair price. You have no idea the price of physical gold or silver at this point. All I can say, it's 10 times higher because these idiots are doing options. Then they're paying with 10 times more paper gold and silver than actually exist than the physical. So therefore it's diluted and it's worth less than the physical. So just hold physical and relax, and you sleep well and you're pretty much retired. It's a great job. All right. I think that's it. So www.tuesdayking.com. Hope you learned. Please pay attention. Please ask questions. I don't need to hear that Miami released Tyreek Hill. That's not a question. I'm going to see that when I go into Yahoo, but I would spend this time asking me questions on things you don't know. Now, if I teach it well enough that you pick everything up, then great. Then I'm very happy. But anyway, use that time wisely. Don't tell me Tyreek Hill's gone. I don't really care, and it doesn't really benefit anything. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Happy Chinese New Year. All right. www.tuesdayking.com. Take care.